We at LGB Alliance know the importance of freedom of speech and the importance of distinguishing fascist violence from speech we find offensive or abhorrent, even. We have also been the target of online threats for our speech for daring to say that biological sex is relevant to sexual orientation, that single-sex spaces are essential for homosexual community, and that so-called gender transition of minors can harm proto-gay kids. Last week, we witnessed what happens when online threats bleeds into real life, and we couldn't help but think, this could have happened to one of us.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to be talking about the LGBTQIA+ split in the community. Apparently it is official. On Saturday, September 20th, 2025, LGB Alliance Canada, alongside organizations of lesbian, gay, and bisexual people around the world, are declaring their independence from the LGBTQIA+ establishment by launching LGB International. So guys, it is official. The community is officially split. And I know we've been talking about this on this channel for quite a long time now. Is it splitting? Did it already split? I've talked about it on Buck Angel. We've talked about it with Jessica Gill. I've talked about it with this Bohemian gal before. It's been an ongoing topic with the middle gay and the silenced lesbian over on TikTok. And it just is, you know, a long time coming as far as I'm concerned. And, you know, I said it a while ago that the split already occurred. I think the only people left that still don't understand that are the TQ plus extremists. But before we get into this today, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I know that there's people coming back to the channel and you haven't subscribed. Just please go ahead and do it. I know you keep coming back, so you might as well subscribe. It is free. Thank you so much to all my loyal supporters from the beginning. Things are slowly getting bigger and I appreciate it very much. And remember, your voice matters. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you guys the official launch of LGB Alliance International, where they officially declare, hey, guess what? We're separating. And they give you a list of reasons why. And it's people that are featured internationally around the world. It's really quite compelling to watch and see. And I do feel that there's a little bit of a connection here between what happened to Charlie Kirk a couple weeks ago and the fact that these folks are now speaking out more than ever. And I think one of the things you have to remember too is these TQ plus queer community extremists, Antifa, things of that nature, they have not only been threatening people on the right or the conservatives like Charlie Kirk, they've also been making threats and, being very inflammatory and violent and disgusting towards LGB people who are saying enough is enough. All right, so let's take a look at this clip here because I think it's a really interesting perspective on what's going on. And people need to know that this is actually really happening. It's a real thing, guys. The community is splitting up and it is done.
Declaramos independência LGB porque tudo bem meninos gostarem de bonecas e meninas odiarem vestidos.
We are declaring our independence because we're tired of people who aren't lesbian, gay or bisexual speaking for us in our name.
Vi bryter oss loss för att homo- och bisexuella har olika åsikter, men HBTQI är ett åsiktspaket.
女同性恋和男同性恋逐渐失去立足之地，因此我们在此宣告 LGB 正式独立。
Обявяваме независимост на ЛГБ общността, защото еднополовите връзки се нуждаят от правен статут навсякъде.
Declaramos la independencia LGB porque los derechos que tanto nos ha costado conseguir están siendo amenazados por la identidad de género.
The LGB is declaring independence because being a feminine man doesn't make you a female.
Parce que les espaces lesbiens accueillent désormais des hommes.
We're declaring LGB independence because we've had enough of pronouns.
Porque homens não podem ser lésbicas.
Porque los derechos de los homosexuales no están en contra de los derechos de las mujeres.
Omdat wij graag gendernormen slopen, niet onze lichamen.
Dichiariamo l'indipendenza LGB perché ci siamo stufati.
Vi løsriver oss fordi jenter skal kunne bryte med stereotypiske kjønnsroller uten å tro at de må endre på kroppene sine.
Nous déclarons notre indépendance lesbienne, gay et bisexuelle parce que dans 64 pays du monde, l'homosexualité masculine reste encore pénalisée par la loi.
Vi lýsum yfir sjálfstæði því að það engin kynsegin. because wealthy legacy LGBTQ plus organizations have betrayed the same-sex attracted population.
Rydym yn datgan annibyniaeth LGB i amddiffyn ein gwagleoedd a diogelu ein hawliau.
Fordi børn og unge, der ikke passer ind i den kønsstereotype opfattelse af mænd og kvinder, de fejler ikke noget.
We are going global. Why? Because gay teens aren't sick anywhere around the world. Welcome, LGB International.
So guys, there it is. It's actually really a thing, and I really believe that some of it has to do with what happened to Charlie Kirk. And one of the things that I want to say too is that some of the violent rhetoric that I've seen since I started this channel, and I've been in different spaces talking to people that are more extreme and on the left versus those that are more in the middle ground or perhaps a little bit more conservative, they always reach for violence. They're angry, they're hateful, they started with the name calling, and we've known about a lot of this and seen a lot of the warning signs and put up a lot of red flags over the course of time about these particular groups that are sort of in the underbelly of the community, so to speak. So I'm not at all surprised that this is happening, and I'm actually very happy that it is. Now, another thing that I want to say, just so that everybody understands, is that I do have, viewers that are trans. I have friends that are trans. And I think that most of the people that I have in my orbit are much more reasonable and level-headed and understand the common sense and the nuances of a lot of this situation. This is not a smear against trans people. This is not, anything against those that have gender dysphoria. But the thing of it is that sexual orientation and gender dysphoria and transition are two very, very different things. That is number one. But number two, it's actually the extremist viewpoints that have led us to where we are now. So kids transitioning, trans women in women's sports, the push for all those things, the demands, the force, the pronouns, all of that has really done a great deal of damage to the community. And we can't keep up with that anymore. We can't keep doing it. And I think it's led us to feel as if we do not have a choice other than to separate ourselves. All right. Buck Angel is a friend of mine, Jessica Gill. I have several other trans friends privately as well that, they understand what's going on here, and they understand and are fully supportive of it, actually, that there is sort of a distinction. So there's a lot of reasons, and we're not going to deep dive on it today. This is kind of just a reminder for everyone that this is really happening and it's a real thing. I actually went on the LGB Alliance website to look at some of what's going on and the statements that they're making. And I came across a video about the Charlie Kirk assassination because they spoke on this in relationship to how this has impacted our community, how we feel in LGB spaces and some of the transsexual spaces as well, because it's not everyone that's trans that's a problem here. And I can't make that more clear because there are so many transsexuals speaking out against the extremist philosophy and the ideology on the far left. But the people that are on the far left that are cheering about the Charlie Kirk incident, that celebrated this, that don't care or are making fun of it or what have you, all right, they're in that extremist bunch that is fueling the fire to those to commit violence and to do something like this again. And that is what we are trying to stop. I've talked about it already in 3 different videos about Charlie Kirk. I didn't agree with him about everything, and a lot of people I know didn't. But we were supportive of him trying to bridge some gaps, have conversations, and that's what we're going to continue to do. So let's take a look at what they said about Charlie Kirk over in the LGB Alliance space. I think this is really important, guys.
10th, Charlie Kirk was shot and killed. He was known for his fiery and oftentimes offensive hot takes, his Christian conservative values, and mobilizing conservative youth through an org he helped found called Turning Point USA. He was also known for going to college campuses and encouraging debate, being challenged by those who not only disagreed with him, but hated him for it. It was during one of those college campus debates that Charlie Kirk was murdered. This murder is regarded by many as a political assassination. This murder was an attack on freedom of speech, which is a value that every United States citizen should hold as paramount. Our First Amendment acknowledges that the freedom to speak freely is a basic human right. We in the United States often take this right for granted because we simply cannot fathom a society where speech is censored. But on September 10th, that basic human right was targeted and killed in the jugular, in front of hundreds of people, in front of millions of viewers, in front of two very small children. We at LGB Alliance know the importance of freedom of speech and the importance of distinguishing fascist violence from speech we find offensive or abhorrent even. We have also been the target of online threats for our speech for daring to say that biological sex is relevant to sexual orientation, that single-sex spaces are essential for homosexual community, and that so-called gender transition of minors can harm proto-gay kids. Last week, we witnessed what happens when online threats bleeds into real life, and we couldn't help but think, this could have happened to one of us.
I mean, guys, this is 100% exactly how many of my colleagues have felt recently, many of my friends have felt. That was one of the first things that Deb from The Silenced Lesbian, and if you are not subscribed to her, please subscribe. She's very important in this fight. One of the first things that she said to me personally, and I hope it's okay with her that I'm saying this, was this could have been me. This could have been one of us. What happened 2 weeks ago, was not just about Charlie Kirk. This was a way bigger thing than a lot of people realize. And those that I could tell immediately, there were many people that were so tone deaf that I realized, wow, they really are out of the loop about this, not just political shift, but now it's a spiritual shift that's been occurring where all these voices are just going to rise, and they're going to rise louder and bigger than ever. And this is what my concern is that there's still too many people asleep. When it comes to LGB, and people will say, oh, well, Charlie Kirk would have hated you because you get, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it because he didn't hate gay people. He had actually a lot of gay friends and hung out with a lot of gay people. He was a nice guy. He didn't believe that, gay people should get married or whatever. And it's like, there's a ton of people out there that still feel that way and think that way. It's been a debate for a really long time. And honestly, I'm at a point with it where it just kind of rolls off my shoulders because the older you get, the stronger you get in where you're at with yourself, with your sexuality and all that. So, it's not something that I'm intimidated by. I'm not intimidated by Jesus. I'm not intimidated by the Bible. I'm not cowering in the corner when somebody's shaking their finger about religion or whatever, which Charlie didn't do, by the way. He didn't shake his finger at people about it. People like that I just ignore, the ones that are hyperbolic and crazy and too far right. There are people on the far right that are problematic as hell, and then obviously right now there are people on the far left that are problematic as hell. So it really has affected people across a lot of different demographics, very, very personally. So if you aren't awake yet, understand that there are millions of people across the world that are just beside themselves, not only over Charlie Kirk, but all the crazy rhetoric that's been going on in the LGBT space for a really long time. And I think we're finally at, what is it, guys? The turning point. I mean, it's crazy how much that phrase fits with so much that's happening. And it is such a shame and such a terrible, awful thing that we had to lose somebody so that more people were able to feel like they could come forward, or more people were awakened or inspired or feeling a spiritual sense in their hearts, even if they're not a Christian, but just spiritual or believe in something. It's awakened something in people. And that's the first step, and I think that, I'm not somebody that's, crazy religious, but I am a Christian. I'm a religious person to some degree. And it's something I'm going to talk about probably a little bit more on this channel now too. I think I need to, and I think I want to, and I think it's going to be helpful for a great deal of people, especially those in the LGBT space and the transsexual space. So with that, we'll keep going here.
Following the assassination of Charlie Kirk, many people were seen indifferent to his murder. Some were seen celebrating his murder, and then there were those who were even calling for more killing. To all of those people.
And none of that is exaggerated, by the way. That is actually true. There were people like, oh, now do this person, now do that person. Like, I don't know if there's these people, like, their growth is stunted and their like their EQ is so low or whatever that they can't see how fucked up that is to talk like that. But that was really going on, by the way, that's real. In the episode that I just did that came out on Buck Angel yesterday, we went into it a little bit and reacted to a couple of clips. But there's a lot of really bad stuff out there of people celebrating this and acting absolutely like lunatics. And it's so sad and scary and awful. And I want no part of it. And, you know, anybody who's acting like that, I don't want anywhere near me. I really, truly don't. So you can save it. That is just absolutely disgusting. It's irresponsible. You know, some of these news networks are being irresponsible as hell about all of this as well. And we really need to see some changes in people's attitudes about life and how precious life is.
We ask, what happens when someone deems your speech so intolerable, so threatening, that they see to it that you never speak again? It happened to Charlie. It could happen to us. And it could happen to you. We must be willing to sit at the table with those whom we disagree with. We must be willing to talk with people whose views we deem as vile. We must be willing to build bridges with those whose worldview is so radically different from our own that we cannot even recognize it as the same world. With that said, we are allowed to feel the hurt that comes from offensive speech, and we should name the harms that can often follow speech that is disrespectful and dehumanizing. Hopefully, in doing so, our aim is not to shut down the discourse entirely, but to widen the dialogue enough for us all to find common ground or understanding. When it comes to freedom of speech, we should choose our words carefully, not because we will be imprisoned or shot for our words, but because we want to reach an understanding with those who see things from a different perspective. We should choose our words carefully so that we may communicate clearly and with compassion. Finally, with freedom of speech comes its essential partner, active listening. We need to listen with the aim of understanding someone's meaning. We can acknowledge and point out when something offensive has been said, but we do our best to hear the root of what is being said, the emotion behind it, the intention, the heart. It can be difficult when the person saying those words has a smug look on their face, has a fuck you look in their eyes, or is themselves clearly intent in misunderstanding you. But even with such obstacles in our way, we have the power to change the status quo. There is always a way for we, the people, to build a more perfect union.
I really do believe that this is coming at a time when, you know, people really need to hear this in the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination. And just something has to change, guys, you know, and I think the split in the community is a first step in a way of showing distinction between good and evil, right and wrong, as far as the extremist rhetoric is concerned, because I do believe and I do feel that one of the main reasons that the community is splitting is because of that stuff, and because there's no accountability on that end of things. They can't sit back and say, oh, you know what, we were wrong about trans kids. Or you know what, maybe we took it too far with the trans women and women's sports thing. Or you know what, maybe we shouldn't have been changing the definition of what a lesbian is to be a non-man who loves a non-man. You know, it's stuff like that that they can't back off of. And then when you tell them to back off of it, they become angry. They start calling you names. You're a bigot. You're a transphobe. You're a homophobe. You're a self-hating queer, this, that, and the other thing. So it gets to a point where the consequence is, okay, we are backing away from you. You can go do you over there. We don't agree. And you can take up your own cause. Now, I heard, and I have been hearing, and it doesn't surprise me at all, guys, that the people on the far left are really upset about this. And somebody said to me, why are they so upset about this? And for me, it's because they've been leaning on the LGB for a long time. Standing on their own 2 feet on the far left is too difficult. They have to come over into other causes to justify their own. And I think it angers them immensely that we're saying no. They don't like the word no. They don't want boundaries in place. And they are making, LGB International is drawing a very, very, very clear line in the sand. And again, I will say it again, and I'm going to keep saying it, guys, because I don't want my transsexual friends to get upset or be angry or worried or concerned. This is, again, not a smear at them, because some of these people are really good people with good intentions who know that what's going on the far left is wrong. So I'm trying really hard to say this is what it really is, and this is what is the bad thing that is sinking the entire ship. So with that, guys, let me know what you think in the comments about this and about the split, about whether or not you feel that Charlie Kirk has sort of created this spiritual shift in people that is making people speak out more than ever. And let me know in the comments, you know, are you worried about this? Do you think it's the right move, the wrong move? Is it not clear to you yet? Are you not sure? So guys, I will see you in the next one. And please remember, your voice matters.